Not only is Logan super captivating in the ring, but he can also be pretty scary when it comes to feuds outside of boxing. This time, he's all up against Paddy Pimblett, and we've got to say, it's serious. He had called out the UFC lightweight for comparing both of their brands in a way that the former found demeaning. Curious? Let's find out more about what went down. First off, what did the video have? According to the company's website, Prime Hydration was intended to fill the space where fine taste meets function. It is supposed to be the ideal boost for any endeavor, with powerful, tasty flavors to help you recharge, rejuvenate, and refuel. As it turned out, Paddy, who is a future UFC fighter, had teamed with Applied Nutrition to create Body Fuel, which is where it all started. In a video marketing the new project, he created a satirical version of a film Paul himself had made, comparing Prime Hydration with Gatorade. He especially stressed the sugar presence in his rival company's drinks as a negative, compared to the negligible sugar content in his brand. If we were to do a little flashback, we could all recall that Logan faced quite a lot of backlash for his advertisement, and he dealt with all of that in his own time. Fast forward to now, when it's his turn to put Pimblett under pressure for not only doing exactly what he did, but in the process also stealing the original idea from the champ. Just as the old saying goes, you should do as one says, but never what someone does. It appears that it is acceptable for Logan to make a comparative video, but it is not acceptable for the baddie to do the same. And this entire ordeal has caused quite a lot of bad blood between the two. It has even come down to legal matters, but only time can tell if Paul will pursue legal action against his rival. Up next, he's viciously angry about the comparison. He publicly slammed Pimblett after posting a video where he was drawing a comparison between Body Fuel's drinks and ones from his Prime brand. He spoke up about the videos that reportedly misled the public regarding Prime's drink formula, and he didn't appreciate how the fighter presented the idea that the brand's drinks were high in sugar when they only had 2 grams in them. He even gave a warning to the baddie for misleading his followers. The issue started with the fact that the UFC lightweight came up with a video that was exactly like the one Logan made. Not just that, but he also lied throughout the clip, and an example of that was him putting a huge amount of sugar in one portion to demonstrate Prime's sugar content in its drinks. That's when he truly pissed the Prime owner off, and he mentioned how he could sue Paddy for the misinformation that was blatantly present in his video. With a lot of curse words, he got his point across perfectly well, and anybody would be scared to mess with this one. What's more is that he called the video out for being very low quality and roasted it for lacking individuality, as he implied that the brand was simply copying his brand. In his words, the comparison Body Fuels tried to draw in their video was useless because it was never going to make the people buy their drinks instead of Prime. Coming up, he actually thinks that Prime got accidentally promoted. The way Logan viewed the video, he saw it as an attack on his brand and took major offense from it. But in his usual sarcastic, shady tone, he also talked about how the person behind the video unintentionally promoted it instead. They may not have thought about it, but the brand has already been established and many people are loyal to it by this point. It's obvious that not many will want to shift away from it, which is what the fighter was laughing about. Paddy may have wanted to make a comparison to bring Prime down, but instead, Paul thinks that they promoted it, so everybody's just going to go and buy their drinks now instead of Body Fuels. It's a pretty hilarious perspective and definitely one bound to hit right at the spot. This is especially because at the end of his rant, he thanked the rival company for promoting his product, and believe us when we say that we all felt the burn. But we also understand that it was probably a desperate measure taken by the brand to try and improve sales, and they may not have thought the depiction to be that harmful. Still, we can't expect expect Logan to let such a thing slide. He called it a cheap knockoff, insulting it for not even having its individuality, which would have enabled it to grow without bringing other brands down. And we definitely agree with this one. We all know that the feud wasn't just started by this brand misunderstanding, but it's been cooking for a while now. Now, let's look at Pimblett's responding to Logan Paul's threats. When Paddy debuted his energy drink in partnership with Applied Nutrition, he simply felt that it was superior to Paul's Prime Energy, which he brought out with KSI. The Body Fuel's owner tried to show how much 2 grams of sugar mean by pouring a sizable amount of it over a table, and that's where Paul entirely lost his cool. Just for the fun of it, the baddie went on to spell a few things out for his rival. Although Paul had never actually stated that he would sue him for his video, the American said he could go ahead with it if he wanted to. But we all know he's getting ahead of himself, considering how Paul had only talked about how he could sue him for the disinformation in his video. Maybe the sugar amount appeared more exaggerated than it was meant to be, but either way, Pimblett is welcoming the rage with open, unafraid arms. Coming up, this feud isn't a new thing. It almost seems like the two have had bad blood between them forever, and one of the most distinct moments we remember is the time Paddy called Paul's fights rigged. When talking to Pub Talk, the fighter praised Logan at first, talking about how he has been putting a lot of work into himself, training as much as he can, and getting the best coaches and meal plans to improve his skills. In a way, it felt like he was throwing shade when he talked about how loaded Paul is money-wise. He mentioned how the fighter has so much cash that he doesn't even need to go out and work for a living, but he can just stay focused on his fights and skills. Not a lot of people get to do that. What's more is that he mentioned the time Logan knocked out Tyron Woodley, and it was so well done that no one could question the legitimacy of this fight. But Paddy was dying to point out the Anderson Silva fight, where it genuinely seemed like at one point the fighter didn't even actually punch his rival. Based on this, he accused the fighter of getting his fights fixed. And we can't say that he's the only person who has done so. Countless other people have felt that Paul's fights are legitimate, but the fighter knew exactly how to come back at Pimblett and his accusations. Coming up, how long has their beef been going on? In the UFC, Paddy Pimblett has experienced a meteoric rise in fame. With his wacky and downright disrespectful celebrations, he has gathered quite a fan base. The British fighter has captured the interest of MMA fans and fighters alike, but Pimblett has been involved in a childish dispute with one significant personality for quite a while, and it's none other than Logan Paul, a former YouTuber and apparently a fighter himself now. When the YouTuber called out the UFC lightweight, it sparked the entire beef between the two. Paul, who has fought Floyd Mayweather in the ring, is confident that he has what it takes to defeat Pimblett, but Logan was positive that he would have no trouble getting rid of his rival, which is also what he said during a guest appearance on the True Geordie podcast. He accused the fighter of being a clout chaser who merely used his eccentricity to win people over, and this insult probably stung. Nothing entertaining has happened since the two exchanged this deadly gunfire with each other. We all know how Pimblett is concentrating on his UFC career, and Paul is also set to face him shortly, so there's no denying that that would be a battle worth seeing. Finally, we've all heard about Body Fuel, but what does Paddy the baddie eat himself? Pimblett has stated that he is willing to engage in combat with Jake Paul, only if he wanted to. He said he would lose roughly 20 pounds for the fight, and he even made a joke about how he could still knock Jake to the ground and give him a head kick if they got into a fight. His new brand, Body Fuel, meal is offered in varieties like summer fruits, oranges, lemons, and lime. But what does he eat himself? In the days leading up to fights, the fighter's chef has revealed what he eats in a day. Due to his love of eating, the fighter is well known for gaining weight after fights. But while he is in camp, he can be just as disciplined as anyone else. After all, the young man is still a professional athlete. This is especially true for combat athletes who must be extremely careful about their weight and physical makeup. To be that successful, you have to be careful about every little thing after all. Paddy follows the same routine as a professional fighter, which includes both losing weight and gaining weight. Let's look at what he is utilizing as fuel as he prepares for his brutal battles. He is fortunate to have someone prepare all of his meals while he is in camp. And he is even more fortunate because his chef once competed in MMA himself, even if only for a little while. And that's a wrap, folks. Do you think Logan's right to be pissed at Paddy? Tell us in the comments below. And as always, make sure to click that like button and subscribe to our channel so you never miss out on more updates on your favorite stars. See you in the next video.